Hey, you did it. You found it. You found the podcast version of the show. It's Writer Radio. Here are the things you need to know. We stream live Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to noon Eastern Time at writerradio.com. 2, you can find every episode on YouTube, youtube.com/@writerradio. We're on Spotify, same name, Writer Radio. We are on Twitter or X @BradWriter, BradRiter. We're on Instagram @Writer Radio. There's a group now, Writer Radio Facebook group. Go there, find that, follow that, like it, whatever you have to do. We've got a phone number. You can send texts, leave voicemail, 716-288-5246. Email, bradwriter@gmail.com. You don't need to memorize this. It can all be found at writerradio.com. That's the hub. But those are the places. Thanks for listening. Please tell a friend. Please share. That's how we grow. Glad to have you on board to the podcast version of Writer Radio.
Welcome to the morning meeting, everybody. Or should I say the whenever you decide to show up meeting.
I said the hip, hop, the hippie, hip, hip, hop, and you don't stop the rocket to the bang, bang, boogie, say, yup, yup, the boogie to the rhythm of the boogie to beat. Now what the hell is to the twist, I'm ripping to the beat. I'm here, the groove, and my friend, you're gonna try to move your feet. Say, I am on the move, and I'd like to say hello. I to the black, to the white, the red, and the blue, the purple, and yellow. But first I gotta bang, bang, the boogie to the boogie, say, yup, the boogie to the bang, bang, boogie.
Let's check in with Writer Radio's senior football correspondent, Scott Wilson.
We're just blasting out of the gate with a strange format today. I'll explain later. It's fine. All of it's fine. It's episode 180. And right out of the gate, our man Scott Wilson. I feel bad we didn't have you on Monday because I forgot to tell you about the golf tournament. Or I told you, but I don't know. I just never clarified, like, hey, Scott, I can't talk to you at 11 o'clock. So I'm on, like, the, 12th green. I look at my phone, and you're trying to call into the show that didn't exist, and I apologize. So
that's all right. It's all right.
Yeah.
I should have known better. We did talk about it. I was a little disappointed that there wasn't some type of live car challenge with Henry Rowengartner.
Right.
I don't know. You could have done how many sticks of gum in your mouth?
Yeah, anything
while driving.
Yeah, he would have been very into it too. He was fun. He was a party. I liked hanging out with him. I've texted with him since. I think we're friends. Not friends, but like I think you'll hear from him again. I think you'll hear
good friends.
We're not that good of friends. I think you'll hear from him again on the show at some point. I like bringing you on twice a week, no matter what's going on. I especially like bringing you on a Friday after the Yankees advance and some dude comes out of nowhere and pitches like that. I imagine you watch that and love that. You know how I feel about pitching, man. Like, I don't like the Yankees. I'm not a fan, but I was rooting for that dude to just get everybody out because it was so fun to watch him.
I'm glad you started baseball. That's where I was going to start.
You better. That was awesome, man. That was a historic performance.
Yeah, that was something else. I'm encouraged a little bit by the fact that Boone appears to have learned from the game one mistakes that he made, which at this point of his career and this length of time that he's been the Yankees manager, he shouldn't have to still be learning these lessons, but he is. All right, fine. He is, where, he just took Fried out when he was cooking in that game. Cooking. Like, oh, he got 100 pitchers. Yeah, well, okay. It's the playoffs. So if he's got to go 115, then he's got to go 115. Let's push him through the inning so that we can get deeper into the bullpen and feel safer. And I think we saw a sign of the learning last night because he comes off for the 7th, the Schlittler, and he just says, no, he's throwing strikes. He's going back out there for the 8th.
And he's throwing 98 miles an hour, too. I mean, he looked as good late as he did early. He's mowing through his team. He's walking no one. They've got no prayer of hitting him. I love that. See, to you, it's about Boone learning. To me, it's just about somebody having a little bit of respect for the game of baseball instead of just looking at the numbers at this point. It's so much about velocity and pitch count and all that stuff that I don't really care about. I just want to see is it going well? And it was going well. And even, pulling him for the 9th, it worked out fine. But pulling him for the 9th, I was like, man, I hope they don't ruin this kid's day. And I didn't even realize at that point how, whatever the stat was, about 12 plus strikeouts and 8 plus innings and No walks. That might have been it. That's it. For the first time in
no runs.
Playoff history.
Yeah.
And no runs, right. I didn't even know about that. I was just like, this is going great, and I want to watch this kid keep going. So I respect that out of just from a baseball standpoint. To throw out the stuff, watch the game, manage the game like you know who these people are, and like you understand how things have gone in the past. I've got flashbacks to Jimmy Williams, of course,
right,
2004,
right.
and I'm just thinking, don't do that. Even though I don't typically root for the Yankees, you got to root for a performance like that. It was awesome.
I feel like the Red Sox got a little bit in their head about it once it started to get to like the 6th inning. They were like, "Oh no,
yeah,
it's starting to get late here." And there was a number of inferences drawn once we started to get to the 7th inning. I think the announcers did a good job of saying, "I hope everybody understands that you get what we're seeing here."
Right.
Like this is a completely new territory for rookies in this situation, but it's also very good for just a baseball player. And it did remind me as a Yankees fan of Josh Beckett.
Yeah.
Where he would get into those modes and have those games. And on the Yankees post-game show, they had Flash on there, the old catcher for the Yankees, and who was on those teams, and he brought his name up too. And he said there were times where we would face him in the playoffs, and the mood on the bench was, can you take anybody else? Like, I don't care who else comes in the game. Can we see somebody else, please? Because it's apparent this isn't going to happen for us. And he just would never come out of the damn game. And we ended up having one inning where we had any chance of doing something.
Plus, he was wearing like puka shells
last night.
Plus, he was wearing like puka shells around his neck, which made it more annoying. Right? That's what I remember of Beckett. And Beckett, obviously, he burst on the scene in that 2003 series. It's right after I'm kind of burned out after the Boone home run, and they're playing. So I was kind of rooting for him and them that year because I was mad at the Yankees for what had just happened. But again, I root for pitching. I rooted for Steve Avery in the playoffs. I rooted for Jarrett Wright in the playoffs. I like young pitchers showing up. John Lackey in the playoffs, too. I love the young pitcher that just kind of takes over, and you're wondering, is this a fluke thing? Saberhagen, is this a fluke thing, or is this, a guy we're going to be watching for the next 10 or 12 years? It was absolutely awesome to watch, and I root for the Red Sox more than I root for the Yankees. I don't really have a strong opinion, but yesterday I was in. Once he was cruising like that, I just wanted to see it keep going, and that was cool. And you know what? You mentioned the Beckett thing. It also kind of reminded me of I watch a lot of Little League baseball, and you wouldn't believe how quickly sort of negativity can spread amongst the team. And once there are consecutive batters who come back shaking their head like, I can't get around on this kid, all of a sudden the phrase "we're cooked" is bouncing around a lot in these little dugouts. I don't think the Red Sox were saying "we're cooked," but there was a little bit of that sense, and they're booting the ball around like the Red Sox tend to do. It all fell apart for them. But I loved it for Schlittler, and we'll see where this goes the rest of the playoffs.
Those Little League dugouts, I've been in there too, and that is, you're right. It's funny where very quickly things can be like, uh-oh. I remember my son had one of those games in the playoffs where he was a good pitcher. He was a lefty, but he just got into a zone, and then we ended up losing the game because somebody else eventually had to come in and pitch. And the other team, we knew a bunch of kids on the other team, and the other team came over and was like, I don't know what you did, but we couldn't hit your magic pitch. And it was just my son figuring out how to throw a changeup.
Yeah, that'll do it. That's a magic pitch.
It was just like, they were just like, we didn't know what was happening.
Yeah.
So we couldn't do anything for a long time. And then once you left, it was cool.
Great.
Well, that sucked for us. But yes, no, thank you for that.
Yeah, well, jumping off of Schlittler
it felt like Schlittler had a magic pitch last night.
But
he was just throwing 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's magic. That's magic to me, and it's so casual. And so I don't know. I love the delivery. What do you know about this guy? This is the guy. So I heard of him for the first time yesterday or the day before when I saw an article about how this guy grew up a Sox fan and he had to convert his entire family to become Yankees fans now. Whether that holds or not remains to be seen. But I saw that, and I didn't realize that was the name of a pitch. I just thought it was some guy on the Yankees. And then he's the starting pitcher, and then he was that. Like, what do we know about this guy? When can we watch him again? Is he like... I mean, I'm looking for 3 days rest at this point. You're not going to have to. They don't start till Saturday with Game 1, so it should be fine. But what's his ascendance? Where did he come from? What's going on?
Well, he was not supposed to reach the majors. He's a second-round draft pick. He was not supposed to reach the majors for another year and a half. And because of Yankee injuries this year, they got put in a situation where they kind of had to. He started in Double-A, was down there for a bunch of starts, then got called up to Triple-A, made 5 starts, and the injuries started to take hold, and he got a shot. And from the second he came up, there he seemed very comfortable.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where he looked the part, was throwing heat, sounded the part, looked comfortable. Like it never looked overwhelming for him. And obviously we saw that yesterday. And it was to the point where they just couldn't send him back down. Like, why would we send him down? This massive kid is throwing heat and he looks good. The Red Sox, he grew up in Walpole, Massachusetts, in the heart of Red Sox country, grew up a Red Sox fan. And even my wife is a massive Yankee fan. So, I mean, the last 3 days, it's been
a little stressful.
Yeah, like she's probably going to sleep all day today because she's been on edge for the last 3 days
She's
straight.
plumb tuckered out.
Yeah. She didn't like it. She's like, "Oh, this guy's a Red Sox fan. I don't like this." And to me, I think part of it is, the Red Sox had 2 chances to take me, and they didn't. And that to me would be very upsetting and motivating in a matchup like this. I'm from Massachusetts. I went to Northeastern. Why are they passing on me? And the Yankees took a shot and drafted me. And you know what? All right, fine then. To me, mentally, I think the top class athletes have that ability. And we talk about it all the time. Seeing the Jordan doc where he didn't get a handshake that he liked and he dropped 60.
Right.
Where you're able to find those.
So just
and
bang them. Yeah.
Yeah. Where I think that's part of it, where yes, I grew up a Red Sox fan, but they had a chance to draft me and they didn't believe in me. I'm over here now.
Yeah.
Screw him. I'm over here. It was interesting after the game to hear him talk about how he got a lot of texts from friends and family before the game that were supportive. And then he paused and said, I also got quite a bit that was not supportive, but we'll deal with that later.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm sure
I can imagine there's friends or high school kids that he knew that have his phone number.
Right.
That were like, hey, bud, drop this one. You suck.
Well, right. I mean, what do you do? This would be a very interesting topic for like to do fully research. Like I would watch a documentary on this sort of thing. And like, what do you do? Your son, Jeffrey, you're a massive Giants fan your whole life. Your son, Jeffrey, gets drafted to play for the Cowboys. Like you just put the Cowboys gear on and now I'm a Cowboys fan and maybe I'll revert once we're done with this part of life. But yeah, I don't care what shirt my kid is wearing for. I'm doing that, right? I mean, I think that's the way it works. I got a story.
Yeah, but it'd be freaking brutal.
Right.
Oh, my God. The Cowboys.
Right,
oh,
right.
God.
Nate goes to the Dolphins. Drew goes to the Patriots. Like, what, but you just...
What do you do?
You just do it.
Yeah.
You have to do it. And it doesn't matter. Like, I got a neighbor who's a Red Sox fan, or excuse me, a Yankees fan, and was disgusted by the fact that his kid was playing for the Red Sox in Little League. He wanted to switch leagues because his kid was wearing a different color shirt. It's like, that's not even the real Red Sox, dude. They play it in Mellot.
Yeah.
Like, knock it off. But it's just in your head.
There's a lot of that. There's
Right.
a lot of that in Little League. You and I have talked about this a bunch.
Oh,
There's
the Yankee
a lot
people?
of that.
Especially the Yankee people.
Well, just in general of he can't be on this team type of situation.
Right.
I
Not
had a
because
kid
of the
on the
coach
Red
or the
Sox.
players, because of the uniform.
Right. I had a kid on a Red Sox team at once. I didn't show up in Red Sox gear for him.
Right.
But I was able to know, all right, he's with a good coach and he's got friends on the team.
Yeah.
And he's not actually playing for Boston. He's playing in my local Little League.
Right.
It doesn't mean anything. It's just to get colors of jerseys.
Yeah, those are just shirts. That's not a big deal. They're not really the Red
Right.
Sox. I remember there's a guy, Joe Mamet, he's like a year or two older than me. He's like a 6'6", I want to say lefty pitcher, who he played at Canisius. He got drafted in like 94 by the Red Sox, but he grew up around here and he grew up a massive Yankees fan. And when you just live in that world and you're a Yankees fan and you walk around life with a Yankees hat, I still don't understand how this happens, but he told a story about showing up at Red Sox camp wearing a Yankees hat. Just didn't occur to him to not dress like himself. Like, that's just how he dressed. Now, again, I don't know how on earth you don't recognize you're doing this, but he told a story about walking through and, like, Dwight Evans is there. It's like, excuse me, son. Like, come here. And, like, you're going to need to remove that hat before you go into this cafeteria, because that's not how we roll around here. He's like, oh, sorry, my bad. So you just have to convert. You just have to switch. You have to realize, hey, I grew up rooting for something, and if it's my kid or it's my friend or it's whatever, yeah, you become a Yankees fan. So that's an interesting story, I think, just that whole line of questioning and how that all works, with everything. What do you do when it's not like Cole Snyder. It's not quite Cole Snyder going to Eastern Michigan, but you know what I'm saying.
Right. I had a similar situation. I worked for the Bisons, doing the music and the sound and stuff for 4 or 5 seasons. And my first week there, I remember I did the same thing where I just threw on the Yankees hat and went to work and walked in, and my boss was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "What?" He's like, "You can't wear that hat. That's not us." It's like, "What do you mean?" "I'm just wearing a hat." He's like, "No, we're the Cleveland Indians. You can't do that." I was like, "Oh, are you serious?" He's like, Yeah. If you want, go down and I'll give you $20 to buy a Bison's hat if we have it, or something else.
That's the team you work for.
You cannot wear that. Right. You cannot wear that. Please do not let my boss come in and see you wearing that.
Well, we have to
like,
not.
Oh, yeah, you know what? That makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, good, really good point. I haven't heard anyone say it in a while, but like, we know full well when we travel with UB, like, you will occasionally have like a giant sweatshirt with you, and that's separate. But like, there are people that walk around, they work for UB, but also they grew up fans of Notre Dame, or you grew up a fan of Michigan, or you grew up a fan of whatever, UCLA. And you might just forget that they compete with each other. I know they don't see each other it's not often that UB and UCLA lock horns, but if you're on a team, you're on a team and you're a part of a team. So like, I wouldn't want to wear a Sabres logo on the road with UB. I certainly wouldn't want to wear a Bills logo on the road with UB. And you just have to be conscious of who you're with and who you're working for. There are other teams that I support. But when I'm in my professional capacity as a member of the UB Bulls staff, there will be no other logos. I don't want to wear a Burger King logo, let alone another sports team. So people are protective. There's a reason so much time, money, effort is spent in marketing and perfecting these jerseys and color schemes. We were just talking yesterday, excuse me, it was me and Bob, I think, about how far the Bulls have come since switching their logo and looking cooler. Like, it matters. The overall vibe of the team matters, and you better blend in, man. You better fit. So yeah, that's I don't know. It's fun. It's interesting. What else is going on? What else? If I didn't start with baseball, what were you thinking we were going to do?
Well, I'll throw one other baseball thing out there.
Okay.
And I think that it shows. I think it's very frustrating. I'm a Yankees fan, and they've won 26 times. Not when I've been in live, but they overall have won 26 times. I recognize that they have won a lot and won the most, and there's very little room for complaint overall, as in the experience of a Yankees fan. But I can't imagine being like a Mets fan or even the Braves fan, who was good for so long but really only got the one World Series during that time. They've had another one since then, but still, you know what I mean.
Yep.
Or even like a Cleveland fan, because I saw this stat that the Miami Marlins have had a losing record now in 30 of their 34 seasons. And it must just be killer that
Ugh.
2 of the 4 seasons, they are 50% to win the World Series if they finish over 500.
That's crazy.
Like, oh my God, they're 50% if they just have a winning record.
Well, they
of
were the
winning a
grossest.
championship.
They were the grossest of all time of just assembling a massive team, winning a series, and dismantling the team. Like I'd have to go
They did
back
it twice.
Yeah, but the first one was the worst thing I'd ever seen. I mean, that was. I'd have to go back and get the names because I'm going to mess it up, and I'll probably cross-pollinate between the two. But that team that they built and then destroyed, starting with Kevin Brown, I guess would be first. But like, it was gross, and it made every World Series that everyone else has ever won feel disgusting. The first time the Marlins won the World Series to me, because they were brand new, and they're wearing teal, and they built this team full of mercenaries in a football stadium in Florida. I don't like that place anyway. They got a fish on their heads. Like, it was just, and they did that, and it was like, yeah, our World Series counts the same as the one that the Mets won in 1986. Like, no, it does not. But it does. But it doesn't. But it does. It's maddening.
Yeah,
it's Tampa winning the Stanley Cup. It's Florida. It's something about Florida. It's Florida, the Panthers winning the Stanley Cup. Any team that didn't exist when I was a kid is still like, get out of here, rookie, to me. And I'm 50. But like, teams that came in when I was 12 don't count as real teams yet to me. And I guess it's bitterness because my teams have never won championships. But like, even now, when the Sabres eventually win a Stanley Cup, all they're doing is something the Carolina Hurricanes already did and that the Tampa Bay Lightning already did. Like, it's just gross. I just want the good teams. I want the real teams. I want the real teams.
Real teams.
Old school real teams. Real cities.
A couple of NFL quick things. I've come to the realization that I think the plan for the Bills this year when it comes to run defense, because it's not good and hasn't been, is twofold. One, that run defense, does it matter if Josh is scoring every time he's got the ball? And the answer so far has been no.
Right.
It doesn't. I think that they run into trouble if somebody figures out a way to stop Josh, which I also thought about really hasn't happened since last year at Houston, where he had that weird 8 completion game.
Yep.
Everything was wild, and they still almost won.
Yeah.
And they lose at the buzzer on like a 60-yard field goal or 58-yard field goal, something like that.
And I don't remember how he was in the Ravens game that it was back-to-back losses, I think, right there, that, things weren't great, but I don't remember that one being on him. The Houston one was like, what's going on with Josh Allen? And that's one since 2020 that a team has like shut him down.
Right. So I think that that's kind of the plan. And then the other plan for that run defense is I liken it a little bit to Syracuse basketball in the Boeheim days, which is they would play that 2-3 zone, and it would always be exciting. And this is going to sound weird. It would always sound exciting when the other team would start like 5 of 7 from 3-point range, and they'd get like a 7-point lead on Syracuse, because Boeheim was very calm in the fact that, yeah, listen, I know that average isn't going to stay at 78%.
Right.
That's going to come back down to what you always shoot, which is 30. And all those misses are giving us the possession at the other end. And I feel very much like the Bills are adjusting. And in the second half, the run defense feels a lot better, a lot tougher. And then that's when Josh puts up a touchdown. We talk about this all the time too. Touchdown, stop, touchdown.
Right.
And the other team's like, all right, we'll just come out and run the ball. They get they throw bodies at it out of halftime. They get a stop, they get a punt, and then Josh goes down and scores. And then it changes everything. And now you can't run the ball anyway.
Right. Yeah.
So all they kind of did was stop you one time. And because of the offense, they're fine. Now, again, that plan gets squirrely if the offense isn't clicking or having an off day and they're facing somebody that is able to slow them down a little bit. Then it starts to get a little hairy and you're going to find yourself in a close game. But as of now, it's not perfect. I feel like it's going to get better. They're going to get some, Ogunjobi's going to come back. They're going to get some guys off of, injury and stuff like that. It's going to get better. And all this is showing me right now is that they have the ability to bank these wins when they're not really playing all that well. Like, I think that they've played overall probably 3/4 of really good football.
Yeah.
On both sides, like good complementary both sides of the ball football on the year, and they're undefeated. They're undefeated, and they're still scoring 30 points a game, and they're still doing what they have to do on defense. So I'm encouraged. You know, I'm not worried too much about it at this point, because again, they're banking these wins. If you can get through September and not play all that well and just win every game anyway, that's going to help you big time later in the season when you got to deal with extra stuff.
Well, I think there's an overall calmness to the team that I think McDermott should get credit for. I feel like he is, like, around here. Obviously, there's got to be a level of respect for the fact that this team never went to the playoffs. Now it always goes to the playoffs. But there is an overall thought that McDermott, come playoff time, defense doesn't come through. Like, there's all that stuff.
13 seconds.
13 seconds is there, and that's going to stick. But I think, generally speaking, his legacy right now is an overall demeanor that he's brought to the team. Like, he's calm. He's excited, but he's very methodical in everything that he does. And I think he's coached that into this team to the point where, they bring in this wild stallion of a quarterback who you're just like, if we could just break him, if we can harness this power, it'll be fine. They've converted the most exciting player in the league to the calmest player in the league. Look at him on the sideline, whether they're up, whether they're down. Him just sitting, he's got the same look on his face every single time they cut to him on the sideline, whether they're up or down. And it's just like, okay, I'm at work today, and I will continue to do what I do at work today. And we're going to go out and we're going to win the next play and the play after that. And it sounds cliched when you hear people talk about it all the time, but you can see it in their demeanor. It's why and this is taking us back to that Ravens game, it was this improbable 16 points in the last 5 minutes. It never felt panicky to me. Yeah, it took a lot to happen. A lot of breaks had to go your way. If this play goes a different way, you lose the game. But it was just in control. And when it happened and people were going nuts, I was like, I don't know. It didn't seem like that big a deal. And at the time, I attributed it to my experience with college football and Maction in particular, where no lead is safe. And the team that's got its head on its shoulders is going to be in it at the end. And that's just kind of the way they present themselves. So the Ravens game is the best example, but you go into a game and Miami marches down the field and scores on you, and I sense, the difference. This is why my wife isn't the head coach of the Bills, because the difference in her demeanor after Miami marches down the field and goes up 7-0 with 56 minutes left in the game, and McDermott's demeanor, and Allen's demeanor, and Ed Oliver's demeanor. Just as an example, I didn't really mean him, but you know what I mean. We're going to play 60 minutes. They have to be better than us on the next play too. All right, they got us on that one. They have to be better than us now, and you just keep going and going, and that gets back to the Boeheim thing. Where it's like, I don't believe that Tua is going to shoot 7 out of 9 threes for this whole game. I think Tua is going to shoot 7 out of 28 threes, and he just happened to hit 7 of 9 first. So I think the overall approach and demeanor of the team is a product of Sean McDermott, and he should get some credit for that.
Totally agree. Let me throw in another weird stat that I came across in the NFL.
Hit me.
This week, every Oklahoma starting quarterback from 2015 to 2023 is starting in the NFL.
Whoa.
That's Baker.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts.
Uh-huh.
Kyler. Spencer Rattler.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams and Dylan Gabriel.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. Everyone starting this week. Now,
when's the last time Oklahoma won a title?
Oh,
been a while. You're producing nothing but NFL quarterbacks.
03 maybe, that Stoops team that beat Florida State.
Yeah.
02 maybe. 02 or 03.
I'm looking it up.
We don't know what Dylan Gabriel is, and Spencer Rattler is trying to break the record for the most losses to start a career.
What's he at, 10?
Yeah, he's 0 for 10. So, that is what it is. But it's still it's still true. That's a lot of quarterbacks to put out.
Yeah, that's crazy. I don't really have anything to say. Like, that's a terrible response. Usually you say something, and then I've got this big thing to say about it. 2000 was the last time they won the national title. 1950, 55, 56, 73, 74, 75, and 2007 national championships for the Sooners. That's crazy. That's all. That's all I got is that's crazy. What's up? Jaxson Dart. Let's talk Jaxson Dart.
All right, yeah. Let's talk Jaxson Dart. You probably want to know what I think about his first game.
You're going to talk about his mom instead?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, what I'm going to talk about is I couldn't see it.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't see it.
What
I
were
don't
you-
pay for the Sunday ticket.
Right.
I take what I get.
Live in
and
Syracuse.
It's normally, it's normally fine because the Giants are always on Fox. Bills are always on CBS. And even then, the Bills are also, a lot of those weeks are also on ESPN or NBC, so it doesn't matter either way. And I always get the Giants game. I mean, that last week I was excited. I was excited for the first time in a long time for a Giants
Yeah, it's
game.
the first one you needed to see.
Right. I am jacked up. Never occurs to me to actually look before the game is about to start if I'm even going to get the game. Because it's on CBS and the Bills are on CBS, and now the Bills are very good. So where I live, we get the Bills now.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, the Giants were very good, and we would always get the Giants no matter what. And now the Bills are very good and the Giants are very bad, and that's kind of what happens. But I missed the one game I'm excited for. I mean, Brad, I stopped. I had nachos. I had nacho chips in the house. Like, I was legitimately
Oh,
excited.
you
to
didn't
watch
know
the
until
game.
1 o'clock is the point you're making.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
no.
I'm sorry. 12:40,
Okay, still.
where I'm like, I believe it was Jeffrey who was like, the Giants game's not on? It's like, what do you mean? It should be on Fox. It's like, no, that's Bucks Eagles.
Ugh.
I said, why would, no? And I'm like, well, the Bills are at 1. He's like, yeah, that's on CBS.
Oh, man.
And then I was like, oh my God, the Charger. It's AFC at NFC. That's on CBS too. Oh my God. And then it set off a panic. And then it was me looking how much it would cost to get a Sunday ticket.
For a day.
And it was $83 for a month.
Oh, come on.
And it's like, I
And your
can't.
month probably would have ended at the end of September, too. It's like
Right.
just knowing
It
how the
would've been
NFL
3
is.
days. Right. So I suffered through it and, watched the Bills game and had the Giants game on my phone.
Yeah, but then
on, like,
Dart
a
scores
Gamecast.
9 minutes in, rushes in, like they break into the Bills game to show you that. And you're like, what is going on? Show it to me.
I know. It looked like so much fun. I just had none of it. I just had none of that fun.
Hey, I'll see you on
Uh,
Saturday. I'll give you $1 if you can right now tell me the name of the Giants kicker who made the extra point after Jaxson
Oh.
Dart scored a 15-yard rushing touchdown. I owe you $1 American if you can tell me this guy's name. I've never seen this before in my life.
Right. They got rid of Gano because he's hurt.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't want to take your $1 away, but I also don't want to waste too much time on this.
Okay.
Your kicker's
All right,
name
yeah.
is Jude McAdamney.
Yeah, I wouldn't have gotten there.
Nope, I've definitely never seen that name before.
Would not have gotten there.
So that is among the first times that Jaxson Dart and Jude McAdamney combined for 7 points to start an NFL game.
I'll say this about Dart. He's passing, passing-wise, we haven't really seen anything special yet. I think for this team and this organization, and this is weird to say, but when you start 0-3, this is kind of what you got to go on. It was more about vibes.
Yeah.
Where his mere presence and kind of attitude and confidence went through the whole team. The defense played the best it's played against a really good opponent all year. Defense was great. Forcing turnovers, flying around. They got Dart with Scadaboo, who I think, there's a lot of attention paid to Dart, rightfully so. He's the quarterback. But his presence and kind of wackiness and like ability he's not Marshawn Lynch, but he has the same type of mentality where he's looking for contact.
Yeah, there's a smashy, facey vibe to him.
Yeah. There's a juggernaut type of aspect to his game that I think can really jack up a team and kind of permeates through everything. The neighbors thing that's not what you want when
that's
you're
terrible.
going to remove a top 5 receiver in the league from your rookie quarterback who just took over the job and he gave it to him for 1 quarter. But, I like what he did. He came in and he's 1-0. I mean, you can't say more than that. And I'm left that game saying, geez, I wish he had played against Kansas City because that was a gettable game. That was a gettable game. How many times did Russell Wilson, all right, I can tell you this, 4 straight times in the red zone when there was still plenty of time left and they could have scored a touchdown, where Dart takes off and scores a touchdown probably on 2 of those 4 plays, and Russell Wilson just throws it up the tunnel through the back of the end zone, including 4th down where he hits an upright because he's throwing the ball away.
Well, it's good to be safe.
It is. Well,
better safe than sorry, right?
To get that ball. Yeah, I mean, but I'm encouraged by it. I need to see more to sit there and say this is 100% the answer, but I think it's clear when you see the response from the team that they're on board with it, that they were very much ready for that change to be made. I don't think that they could have. I don't think Dable would have lasted another week if he had started Russell Wilson. I think he would have lost the players, and the players would have probably gone to Mara and said, "What are we doing? What are we doing? We have players here that we should at least be competing, and this guy's throwing the ball up the tunnel on 4th down."
Yeah, I think both of us.
What's going on?
Both of us are kind of calling. I mean, I agree with you that there was just the Russ thing was not going to work. But both of us were calling for Winston because we didn't think necessarily that the move was to jump to Dart, that it was necessarily realistic, that, to bypass him. But as you pointed out, they made him number 2 on the depth chart. So I guess this was in play all along. It just took a pretty extreme lack of confidence in Russ to make the move. But, hey, it's fun again. I mean, that, like you said, and are you going Scattaboo or Scatabo? Because I liked it as Bo, but lately I'm hearing Boo creep in, and I don't know how to.
I think the name is actually Boo. It's Scattaboo.
Boo? All right. I can do it. I thought it was Bo the whole time in college, and then even in the draft, and then it was, I don't know, maybe Collinsworth. I heard saying Scattaboo over and over. I was like, I don't know. He says pass rush, so do I believe him? Also, have you noticed that that's becoming an epidemic? I always would like to blame the pass rush thing on like dentures or something, but he says S's in a normal way. And then also I feel like other people have been hearing him, maybe laughing at it, but like Charles Davis is doing it now. It's all over the place where I'm hearing pass rush, and it's driving me insane.
You're hearing P-A-S-H.
Yeah.
Rush.
Or P-A-S-C-H like Dave Pash, the broadcaster. But it's
you can expect a heavy dose of that this weekend.
I'm hearing a lot of it.
This Eastern Michigan game. I'm going to hit you with a couple of pass rush.
Oh, come on, man! Don't do it.
Yeah.
Then I'm bringing an air horn, and if you do it, I'm air horning you. I've got one. I just found it in my bag. I'm not doing anything else with it. I don't hate bringing an air horn for if you start pass rushing me during a live football game on the air. I don't think that's sabotage. Don't do that.
Okay. Briefly, just mention the Bulls game. It's max season. It's Maction time. These games all are 1-game championships. With no divisions, there's really no kind of buffer. You just got to win all of your games. And Eastern Michigan coming in here, Bulls got to take care of business. I really like what they did last week. They lost to UConn in the last minute of the game. But I really like the way they played, the way they game planned everything together. I think that they're on the right path, and they're seemingly, from what we're guessing, going to get their starting quarterback back this week, Tyquan Roberson, who looked great and had things under control against Troy, got hurt. Everything kind of got upended in that one. So to have him back is going to be good. And to see some of the changes that they've made on the defensive side, just with the rotation and how deep they are, because they played more guys last weekend and everything was fine. And that was encouraging to see. And this matchup against Eastern, a good experienced quarterback for the Eagles. Noah Kim is very good. He's a mobile guy. He's more of a straight line runner, but he can move and he can wing it around. He's got experience. He started games at Michigan State. He started games at Coastal Carolina. So he can distribute the football. The problem that they've been having is that their run defense is not good. I think, to kind of put it mildly, that has been the big problem.
Last in America. So
Right.
is that bad? 134?
That's bad. Eastern lost their FCS game to Long Island earlier this year. I said it to you yesterday on the UB podcast. Just watching their first two games, they didn't play like they normally play for Chris Creighton, which is they don't have the top talent there at Eastern, but they play hard. Chris Creighton was doing the bite your kneecaps thing off years before Dan Campbell did. And he's got that type of attitude and mentality around there. That's the island of misfit toys. They know it. They feed into it. No one else wanted them, and they play like that. They play nasty and hard, and it's always a hard game. No one, well, I don't want to say no one. They're top 5 in America in one-score games over the last 7 or 8 years. They are always in battles. They're in wars. And those first two games, did not look like that at all. They've righted the ship. They played Kentucky, and it was a much different team. In the last 2 weeks, they ended up getting a win over the Louisiana, and then last week played a tight game against Central Michigan. So they've righted the ship, but still, their run defense has been a problem this year. So I'm looking, and especially running quarterbacks. So if Roberson is healthy, I'm looking for him to be an active part of the game plan, and for the Bulls to probably lean heavy into the running attack.
Yeah.
Where we've seen them, especially last week, I thought they took a really nice step forward with Alj, and then a big step forward for Lamar Sperling, who had his first 100-yard game and was awesome.
Yeah, spectacular. We saw a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about, wanting to see finally on display last week against UConn in a loss. All right, do you have a football pick to close things out for the week? Do you have a pick prepared? If you don't, it's fine.
I do.
Okay,
no, I
good.
do.
Okay.
I do. I just want to say, we don't talk about losses, but we will talk about wins. And last week, Oregon and Penn State. I said, not only do I like the points, I like them outright. So if you parlayed that thing up, baby,
Yeah.
crack one open on me. That's a big win last week. Always bet against Coach Franklin and the Nittany Lions if it's a top 10 matchup, no matter where they play. All right, so this week I am going to be taking it makes me nervous because when I see a line like this, it makes me think that Vegas knows something that I don't. But I'm still going to do it. Iowa State plus 1.5 at Cincinnati.
Mm.
The Cyclones are undefeated this year and in the top 15. And Cincinnati last week barely had a tight one against our boy Lance Leipold in Kansas. They were able to pull it out. But I like Iowa State. Rocco Beck, the quarterback, has been good this year. They will always run the ball. They got a former MAC guy at the helm, and I'm rolling with the Cyclones getting points as an undefeated top 15 team on the road at Cincinnati. I'm all over that.
Love it.
Interesting also note for you and I who were there, but also a lot of the people that are listening that are following along with the UB season. Minnesota is at Ohio State this week, and the Gophers are 24-point underdogs.
Oh.
Last I checked, which could be an interesting number. I think they got a good defense. I think the Gophers can play defense. I don't know what that first-year quarterback is going to do in Drake Lindsey, but I'm not saying take the Gophers there, but I'm saying for us who have seen the Gophers, and we talked about it after week one.
It does sound like a lot of points.
It sounds like a lot of points. I don't know. I have a healthy respect and another former MAC coach, and PJ Fleck there, that usually in these games, unlike Franklin, PJ Fleck usually in these games overperforms.
Yeah.
So
he shows up with an idea.
Yes. So that to me feels like a big number for a good defense.
All right, very good. Scott Wilson, thank you. We'll talk to you tomorrow, 2:30 pregame, 3:30 kickoff between the Bulls and Eastern Michigan in the second MAC game of the year and the third of 3 consecutive home games for the Bulls. It's going to be like 80 degrees again, 76, 77, something like that.
Homecoming, too.
And it's homecoming. It's definitely worth checking out, so we hope to see all of you out at the stadium. And thank you, Scott. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right, see you.
All right, there is Scott Wilson. This is a heavy Scott Wilson day. There's a lengthy explanation for all of this, but you're going to get – it's kind of wall-to-wall Scott Wilson because, as he just mentioned, we record a UB football podcast. I have not yet made that podcast a part of the show. Today, we're doing that, which means you just heard Scott Wilson to open the show. You're going to hear some music. We're going to come back on the other side. You're going to hear more of me and Scott Wilson, except this time it'll be UB-centric. If you trust us, I know you might think, hey, I like your show, but I'm not that into UB football. But you listen and you like listening to the stuff I do, and you like the stuff Scott does. I'm asking you to stick around and check out what we have to say about UB. It is the UB Football Podcast, which we're going to put into Writer Radio today for reasons I'll explain later. But that's what's happening. So stick around. I'm Brad Ryder. Thanks for tuning in. Episode 180 of Writer Radio coming your way here on, October 3rd, 2025. I'm Brad Ryder. Listen to some music, then listen to some more of the mellifluous tones of Scott Wilson's voice as we get you set for UB and Eastern Michigan. We got baseball in. That was important. We got the Bills in. We got the Giants in and Jaxson Dart. A little bit of UB and a lot more of that coming your way in just a minute. Stick around. I'm Brad Ryder. This is Writer Radio. This portion of Writer Radio has been deleted for the podcast version. If you want to hear everything that happens, listen live weekdays 10 to noon at writerradio.com. A little bit of time left here in Writer Radio, episode 180 on a Friday morning here in Western New York. Thanks to Scott Wilson for hooking me up. More than you would even know. He hooked me up, man. Scott Wilson was a savior because I had some stuff to deal with that I was able to deal with in large part because Scott Wilson is super talented and interesting, but also very accommodating. So I had a wake I needed to attend last night that I was unable to attend, which left me panicking at 7:30 this morning. Now I have to go to the funeral. The funeral's at 10:15. How do I go to a funeral at 10:15? It's 7:30 in the morning. I'm doing a 2-hour show at 10 from here, and the funeral's nowhere near here. How do I do it? Scott Wilson saves the day. How does he do that? Well, I text him instead of him coming on at 11 o'clock like he normally would. I got in touch with him at 8:30 in the morning. I recorded with him as if it was a live show. We started the show with that. I then went, hey, I recorded yesterday with him about UB football. I added that into the mix. I put the two together. I put some music at the front of it. I put some music at the back of it. I put some music in between. I hit play. I started streaming on Mixler like we do every day. I started streaming on YouTube. There's been no video on YouTube because I wasn't here. But it worked. And it was all brand new content. It just wasn't happening live into a microphone. And most of you probably didn't know any better, and that's perfect. It's the way it's supposed to work. I've talked about this before. Most things that you watch on television or listen to on the radio, or certainly if you're listening to a podcast, that already happened. It's not happening live in the moment. And if you're not interacting with it, which I know we do a bit by way of the chat, but we don't take calls. I haven't figured out how to make messaging like a real thing, use a texting app. I just got too many things on the screen, too many different balls in the air, if you will, to monitor one particular place where comments are coming in. So if the show's not interactive, what's the difference if it's recorded or not recorded? So that's why you didn't see any video for a while if you're using the YouTube stream. I am back and live now. I made it back here. I've got somewhere I need to be at 1:30, but I'm good until then. So I was able to come back, finish the show, because you would have just heard music from now until noon. And then, the Will You Go to Lunch thing, the Kevin Spacey thing. Well, first the Steve Carell one, but then the Kevin Spacey. That's what you would have heard. And you'll still hear that, but instead you get a little live extra bonus Brad here. And I'm not sure what I'll do for the podcast. I'll include all of it. I mean, obviously the first hour was new today, and it was Scott. The other one is, I mean, I recorded it with Scott, but it's like UB Bulls property. So I borrowed it. That was on loan from the UB Athletics Department. So when you get the podcast version, that'll be missing. It'll be a big chunk of Scott, a quick break, right back to this part of the show, which will last however long this lasts, and then it'll wrap up. You'll hear the lunch thing. If you want to hear all of it, go to the other feed, which is the UB Bulls Insider podcast feed, which contains within it the UB Football Podcast, which is Scott and I, which went live this morning over there, but I'm not going to publish it as a podcast. I'm just going to, you heard it live, it's streamed live. Just like the music. I can play the music during the live stream of the show, but then once I publish it as a podcast, the music is missing because it's illegal for me to publish music that has a copyright on it. So that's why we use all this goofy stuff that I made, all this stuff. Boom, ba-doop, ba-doop. It's not real music. It's fake Brad music. I like this one. It always makes me feel like I'm hosting Unsolved Mysteries. Let me get this one. Those are your, plus this thing that we do every day.
5, 4.
And then we got this one. So whenever you hear that stuff's okay to publish because I'm the only one who has it. That's all me. But stuff that's like written and actually produced by real musicians, not okay. And I don't feel right publishing the UB Football Podcast. So that's available through the UB Bulls Insider feed. Did I get that right? All right, a couple things to get to. I didn't even turn on the football game last night. It was heavily in favor of the Niners. I wasn't home yet. I got home about halftime. The Rams had tightened it up. Maybe it was 20-13, something like that. And then they tied it up in the second half. And there's a part of me that was interested, but this is where a game being on Prime hurts. I know it's not that difficult to go from one thing to another. I've got different devices, just like most people, different devices all over the house. This is how you watch TV in this room. This is how you watch it in that room. This is how you watch it on your phone. This is how you watch it on the computer. This is how you watch it on the tablet. There's a Roku connected to an old TV. There's a TV that was made by Roku. There's a Samsung Smart TV that's got a Roku app attached. Like, there's just a million different ways to do it. The baseball game was our primary concern in the house last night, and it was awesome. Again, there was a time when I really rooted hard for the Red Sox against the Yankees. It is not that time anymore. Once the Red Sox won a couple World Series and their fans became as annoying as the Yankees fans, I kind of just backed out of that fight. I still obviously will watch it. I like the sport a lot, but I don't have really a team. I've mentioned this multiple times. Very often, we find ourselves in this house rooting for whatever teams our kids played for in the spring. And we've been on a Dodgers kick since last year. My youngest played on the Dodgers. His coach is a big Dodgers fan. We hang out with them a lot. It's like, yeah, all right, let's root for them to be happy. It's like when I root for the Phillies because I like John Fuller. It's not the Phillies that I like. It's like I want my friends happy. So watching that game last night, and I just like pitching. I grew up a Mets fan, and it's not because I had any reason to love the Mets. They were on TV, and their pitchers were awesome, and I wanted to watch that. And watching Cam Schlittler last night, I can't wait till he pitches again. That's going to be an event. There's a buzz, and it's not just in sports. That's New York City. That's the Yankees. That's a clinching game against the Red Sox, and it's a game pitched unlike any game in history. So, yeah, we're going to want to see that 24-year-old kid out there on the mound again ASAP. As a nation, we're going to want that. I hope he's not going against a football game again. But anyway, I didn't watch the football game, and I open up my news stuff to just kind of, all right, what are we going to do here for 20 minutes? I've got 3 different stories. This is one of them. This apparently was written during the game last night. It's published October 2nd. Al Michaels, Kirk Herbstreit under fire for rough 49ers-Rams broadcast. It's from the San Francisco Gate, but I'm sure it's just from a 22-year-old who's in charge of watching Twitter and then writing about what people are saying on Twitter. I think Al Michaels, when he first started on Prime, that just was really uncomfortable. It's like the veteran asking why he's doing a podcast instead of a broadcast, essentially. It just felt that way. I think he has come around, and it's pretty much back to normal. Obviously, he's up there in years. He doesn't have the exact fire he had when he was asking you if you believed in miracles, but he still does a really good job. And Herb Street, I love too. If you're not into college football, so you're just, you've just become familiar with Herb Street's work in the last couple of years through his NFL broadcast, he's fantastic regarding college football. Whether it's on game day or just calling the games, I'm a fan. So I root for that team, and I was like, what? I was uncomfortable with how bad it was. It was just kind of sad and weird when they first started, and I already don't remember if last year was the first year or 2 years ago was the first year of Prime. I think it was 2 years ago. This is probably year 3 of Thursday night games on Prime. So I have not read this story, but we're going to read it aloud right now because I'm interested in sports and in broadcasting, and I didn't see this game. All right, there's no question Al Michaels is a legend. Herb Street considered a top analyst, but the duo's having a rather rough time so far while calling the Niners-Rams game on Thursday night. Okay, so this is like a live blog. Michaels and Herb Street made several notable mistakes in the first half of the NFC West showdown, leading to some cringing from listeners and significant social media backlash. I knew it. It started on the Niners' opening drive when right tackle Colton McKivitz was called for a holding penalty. Herb Street called him Connor McKivitz, perhaps confusing his first name with Niners left guard Connor Colby. Okay, slow down. Slow down. Let's pretend this is an actual person. Writing for, it's Alex Simon. We'll pretend he's real. Sports editor, San Francisco Gate. Just to be clear, a guy who doesn't cover the Niners on a regular basis, gets dropped in and does one game a week, but really probably does 2 games a week. Most weeks. This is his one game. So learn everything about the Niners and the Rams and then go talk to the nation about them. And we're going to nitpick because the right tackle is Colton McKivitz and the left guard is Connor Colby and he accidentally says Connor McKivitz. I screw up the names of the kids on my Little League team because we have 2 Bradens and a Brendan and a Braxton. We also have sets of brothers where I call them by the wrong name. I have 3 sons who I call by the wrong name all the time because they're always around. I'm always thinking about all of them. They're always all a part of the story. And I didn't just have to memorize them this week. I didn't just have to memorize Colton McKivitz's right tackle, Connor Colby is left guard. All right, we're going to continue. But if the majority of the beef is about screwing up Connor and Colton, get lost. On behalf of a coach who's got Braden and Brendan and Braxton all on the same team. There was a practice we had where we only had 5 kids there, and my son was one of them. So the 5 kids were Braden, Brendan, Braxton, and Drew. And I'm Brad, by the way. So it's Brad helping coach Braden, Brendan, and Braxton. The wrong thing is going to come out sometimes. Larry Felser, the late Larry Felser, great sports writer, Buffalo News, Courier Express before that, covered every Super Bowl from 1 through I don't know what number, but he did it for a long time, was one of just a few people to do it. Super respected in the industry. And when I started in radio, he was an older guy who was doing sports talk, and he would make these kind of errors on a pretty regular basis. And back then, I used to think, come on, man. And then as time went on, and I realized the errors are not coming from not knowing what's going on. The errors are coming from having way too much information packed into your brain over the course of a career. And especially once athletes that you watched and you covered start having children playing the same sport, maybe even the same position, to accidentally call Eli Manning Archie Manning is not a great sin. It's a sign of knowledge. It's a reason to be more impressed every time he gets something right because of all the things that are cycling through his head on any given day. The more you know, the more information you've got, and you're trying to access all of it live, that's not worth an article. I'll tell you that. Colton, He called him Connor McKivitz when clearly his name is Colton McKivitz. I don't know where he got Connor from. Oh, the guy 3 people over from him named Connor? Maybe it's that. All right, on the next drive, Niners quarterback Mac Jones completed the pass to DeMarcus Robinson for a first down to the Niners 26, but there was a penalty flag in the backfield. Michael saw Jones get hit as he threw the pass, but said directly, "This one is coming back." The ruling was actually a roughing the passer penalty for helmet-to-helmet contact to the quarterback, which is about as automatic a penalty as possible. Michaels then seemed to forget that any roughing the passer penalty is applied to the end of the play, questioning why the Niners were up to their own 41-yard line. All right, that one sounds like it might be a little bad, but there's a whole staff there to keep it straight. This is, I don't know if we'll be able to hear it. I think we will. This is a tweet. The headline is Al Michaels has no idea what's going on, and then the little face crying tears. Because this is what this guy had to do at 8:58 p.m. is get on Al Michaels for kind of, sort of. Let's see how bad it is. We'll see.
Beautiful opening salvo for them. 2nd and 5. Jones hit as he throws, but he finds the open man along the sideline. And that's DeMarcus Robinson, the former Ram, who missed the first 3 games. He was suspended, but there is a flag on the play, and this one's coming back.
All right, I'm going to pause it. The flag is in the backfield, of course. I don't see it, but I'm sure because I do football broadcasting. And, yeah, it seems like momentarily it has slipped his mind that Mac Jones was hit. So instead, he watches the play. He sees the completion. He says it's caught. It's first down or whatever he says. And then looks and sees a flag, or there's a spotter reminding him there's a flag. But somehow he is now aware there's a flag. So he saw what happened. He saw him got hit. He didn't see the flag come out. Then he saw the completion on the sideline, the opposite sideline of where he's sitting in the broadcast booth, by the way. And then the play, okay, first down. Now you look back, oh, there's a flag. The flag is where 78% of the time it's holding. So it's almost always a safe bet to say this one's coming back. If he had just said, I think this one's coming back, that would have saved him a little bit, right? But that's all that happened, is the guy is concentrating on a lot of things and forgot about the one thing that he already said out loud, which is Mac Jones got hit.
This one's coming back.
Personal foul, roughing the passer. Defense number 10. 15-yard penalty out of the end.
Hold on a second. The 49ers are going back up to the 41-yard line. Did they, by replay assist, that was legal? The 49ers up at the 41-yard line now. They marked it after the catch is what they did. So up to the 46-yard line goes Christian McCaffrey.
All right, here's my new guess. The microphone from the referee was not in the ear of Al Michaels. So Al, who's thinking there's a holding call, is now very confused because nobody told him, no, dude, it was roughing the passer. And then he's the one in charge of speaking to America while people behind the scenes, I don't want to say failed him, but were unable to communicate to him that he had made a mistake. So while he's in the process of, something that flipped around in his brain, I just don't think this is that bad. It comes, I get how it comes off if you're, I don't know, if you've never called a football game before, which most people have never called a football game before. But there are a million different things I can see here that explain why that just happened. All right, so I can explain that one away, too. That one wasn't a great look, but that was a mistake. The Connor and Colby, I almost said COVID. Is there a kid named COVID? There's got to be a kid. At some point, there's going to be an O-lineman named COVID, right? COVID Williams. The big 6'9" kid out of Nebraska, COVID Williams, 325. Okay, so this is an article about how terrible these guys are doing while they're working. There's a person employed by the San Francisco Gate to monitor and criticize Al Michaels, of all people, for his broadcast, and to do it in real time, with no real knowledge of how a broadcast works, it seems. Okay, next one. In the second quarter, Michaels pointed out how much noise the Niners fans were making at SoFi Stadium, saying that Stafford may have to use a silent count in his home stadium. Stafford had, though, already used a silent count on multiple occasions at the time. Okay. and you know this for a fact. I just, no. Man. Criticism when you don't know what you're talking about, I get how all of these things sound a little bit off. Like, oh, that's not great. That's not great. This is not an article. Al Michaels is losing his mind. No. All right, later in the quarter, Michaels referred to Rams receiver Jordan Whittington as Whittingham on 3 straight mentions. You'd like him to be better, but my God, how many names of receivers has Al Michaels had to do just this year? And then how many years has he been doing it? And Whittington and Whittingham are kind of the same thing. If that is my friend Jordan Whittington, we might call him Whittingham as a joke because it's funny, because it's close enough. And nobody's going to be like, I don't know who you're talking about. Do you know who he's talking about? I'm defending him like he's my dad. But I just criticism when you don't. All right. Whittington made back-to-back catches to help the Rams drive for their first touchdown. It took until the first drive of the second half for Michaels to apologize for the mistake. Oh, no. What a horrible mistake. He didn't call him Hitler. Called him Whittingham instead of Whittington. Everybody calls me Ritter. I don't even correct them. People in real life call me Ritter. I've been on the radio or podcast or whatever, talking into a microphone, saying my own name every day, just about, for the last 30 years. And people who, like, seemingly would know me will still be like, hey, Ritter, what's going on? Like, hi, how are you? You don't have to apologize. Then he made a joke about continuing to mispronounce his name when Whittington dropped a pass a few moments later. Okay, so he was recovering fine as a broadcaster. Oh, I made a mistake. Let me make light of it. Wow, terrible. Can you believe Al Michaels? This is crap. But no moment stood out more. Okay, so this should be the big one. Let's see how this goes. I'm rooting for this one to be bad so that this article is borderline justified. No moment stood out more than when 49ers rookie Alfred Collins forced a fumble, then recovered it himself just in front of the goal line late in the fourth quarter. Michaels didn't react to several Niners players excitedly pointing out the fumble, sounded confused as to what happened for several seconds, and then when he finally made the call, actually lowered his voice to say it was 49ers ball. All right, let me just point out, when you're trying to figure out who's got the football after a fumble, the last people to believe are the people on the field with the jerseys. They're all telling you what they're rooting for. If the Rams are pointing one way, that's them saying, I hope we have the ball. And if the Niners are pointing the other way, that's them saying, I hope we have the ball. Now, he is saying several players pointed out the fumble. So I'm gonna watch. We're going to listen. We'll see how it goes. The Rams fumbled the ball, and Al Michaels fumbled the call, is what it says here, courtesy of awful announcing. They've made a whole business out of this. So let's see how this one goes.
Williams, can he get in? They signal that he, with the ball coming out, and it goes the other way, and the call is a fumble in San Francisco ball. Wow.
I don't think anything bad happened there at all. This is the worst. No moment stood out more than when there was a fumble. There's confusion on the field. Then he waited to say who had the ball, and then he said who had the ball. This is Al Michaels being an absolute professional and doing it correctly. You can't see. You can't see in the scrum at the 1 yard line when both teams are jammed in there. The ball comes out. You can read body language and say, ooh, maybe did the ball come out? What did it last? 1 second where he didn't say it? This is awful, awful announcing. What are they doing?
Williams, can he get in? They signal that he, with the ball coming out, and it goes the other way, and the call is a fumble in San Francisco ball.
There's nothing wrong with that call. There was probably a 3-second period after one of the officials, and having broadcasted a bunch of games, I'm going to do one tomorrow. There's a lot to take in on a play like that. And you got to look around and figure out which official is going to say something that matters. And there was probably a 3-second period after the first time that I saw an official pointing the other way, saying that was San Francisco's ball, before Al Michaels said it. And I'll be honest, this is something like when we're talking about making as few mistakes as possible during a broadcast, my suggestion is always, specifically to Paul, like, just wait. You can wait. It's different because it's the radio as opposed to TV. But don't start guessing. Sit there, wait till you know what's true, and then say it out loud. So, literally nothing wrong with that call at all. So here are the crimes committed by Al Michaels over the course of that day. I'm sorry, Herb Street called a guy named Connor Colton, or vice versa. Vice versa. He was Colton. They called him Connor. See how much I care. Then there was the roughing the passer thing where Al got a little confused, but he eventually got it straightened out. And then Whittingham versus Whittington. That's not anything. And then there was a fumble where you had to wait to see who had the ball and what the call was. And so he waited to see who had the ball and what the call was and then talked about it.
Wow. That is unbelievable.
I think Alfred Collins, 95, somehow gets his hand as a last-ditch effort to just...
Picture the fumble from 1987, Ernest Biner. Except on that one, he was sort of in the open, right near the goal line, right near the one. He's in the open, and you could see the ball pop out. Picture that, except it happens in the middle of the line. The play started at probably the 5-yard line. It was handed off, and he fumbled right at the 1 or right at the goal line. And I'm sure there are replays of that. I don't care enough about the game. I just care enough about this. Like, oh, no, what happened to Al Michaels? I see that's a headline. Like, I got to check this out. And this is it? That's the story? That's the complaint? The volume of mistakes led to plenty of critical feedback on social media. San Francisco Standard columnist Tim Kawakami initially said he was, quote, going to be nice and not comment on the crew, but offered some snark anyway after Michaels messed up the roughing the passer penalty. Others watching chimed in with critiques about his energy levels and harsh comments about his lack of vision. ESPN reporter Don Van Natta weighed in. Love Al Michaels, but his call on that goal line fumble was embarrassing. He was lost, had no idea what just happened. I'm going to play it again. Who's lost and has no idea what's going on? Is it Al Michaels, who watches the game and calls exactly what happened? Or is it this guy who felt the need to tweet about legendary broadcaster Al Michaels performing as he always does?
Williams. Can he get in? They signal that he, with the ball coming out, and it goes the other way. And the call is a fumble in San Francisco ball.
Yeah, it's just a broadcaster waiting to find out what happened on the field because you can't see everything from up there. Also, you're watching on TV. He's watching from a million miles away. He might have binoculars. He might have help from spotters. But again, no one's going to jump in and incorrectly take a guess as to what happened. Instead, you wait 4 seconds and all of it is solved. He never once said anything wrong. He just paused. Right? Let's listen again. Hear if he says anything wrong. This is a carry by, I think it's Kyron Williams. I apologize if I'm wrong on that, but it doesn't matter. It's a handoff at the 5 that gets to about the 1. Then the ball goes into the crowd. Then the Niners are celebrating and kind of running the other way, but they're not, first of all, not to be believed. Second, they could just celebrate that way because they got the stop. I don't know what down it was. It was 1st and goal. So it wouldn't have been that big a celebration had it just been a stop on 1st down, I don't think. But seriously, all of this is the information you have to process in the 3 seconds it takes for him to accurately tell everyone what just happened on the field.
Williams. Can he get in? They signal that he, with the ball coming out, and it goes the other way. And the call is a fumble in San Francisco ball.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. When he finally made the call, he actually lowered his voice to say it was 49ers ball. What does that even mean? He didn't scream 49ers? He's figuring out what's going on, and then he's telling you. That's what we do. That's what broadcasters do. He turns 81 in November. He's been calling major sporting events for more than half a century. He's been on the call for some of sports' greatest moments. No one is disputing his status as a legend. But as Bay Area News Group columnist Dieter Kurtenbach hinted, it might be time for the legend to hang it up. Yeah, or not. He's fine. There was a distinct drop in energy when he first started on Prime. He's back to sounding like himself. And none of those things was, I mean, certainly a fireable offense, but like even that noteworthy. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's how people are now. That's 2025. You have no idea what this guy's doing. He's doing fine. And we're critiquing him and then writing articles about the critiques of him. Holy crap. I'm going to skip this Chappelle one. I like the headline. Dave Chappelle jokes, it's easier to talk in Saudi Arabia than it is in America while performing at the Riyadh Comedy Festival. There's a whole big thing about the Riyadh Comedy Festival and all these comics taking Saudi money to go over there and perform, and certain people turning it down. There's a lot. I think I've talked about it a little bit, but without spending 45 minutes talking about who's going, who's not, why it's right, why it's wrong, why it's okay, why it's not okay. I'm not going to get into it, but I like the Chappelle line that it's easier to talk in Saudi Arabia than it is in America. So there's that. And then here's the other one. I was driving home last night on the thruway, and I saw, those electronic signs that warn you if there's an accident up ahead or if there's, trouble here or there. It said massive delays. I don't remember ever seeing the word massive. Massive delays at both the Queenston-Lewiston Bridge and the Peace Bridge. And conveniently, I was just trying to go to Amherst, not to Canada, so it didn't matter. But this is all apparently based on a system outage that began Tuesday morning at Canadian border crossings. It's caused significant traffic backups for a third straight day, that day being today. This is a story from yesterday. Maybe it's okay now. This is last night that I saw it. I was just out there today, so I was thinking that I saw it now too. But there was a sign still about the Queenston-Lewiston Bridge on my way home just now. But yesterday, the thing that was most noteworthy is I had never seen the term massive on a state digital sign. Massive delays. I was like, all right, well, I just won't go to Canada today, which I wasn't going to do anyway. I was just trying to go home to watch a baseball game, which turned out to be a great one. All right, thank you for listening and for sharing and for downloading. And what else do you guys have to do? Subscribing, liking, sharing, commenting. All the stuff that you do on the internet, just do that for the show, and that helps it grow. And thanks to Brian Janik at thefinancialguys.com for being our primary sponsor. Here we go as here we are, closing up episode number 180 of Writer Radio. So thanks to everyone for being a part of it. Thanks for putting up with the different format of the show today, but we still got it all in. It still worked. I liked it. I'll play a song, and then we'll call it a weekend. Join us for the Bulls tomorrow. Go to the game. Pre-game. If you don't go to the game, pregame show at 2:30 on the Varsity app or on the Bet 1520. It'll be me with all my friends, and we'll get you ready for the UB Bulls and the Eastern Michigan Eagles. That's a 3:30 kickoff, which will also be available in those same places I just talked about. Or just go to the game, because it's going to be gorgeous outside again. And it gives you a tremendous opportunity to watch good football, MAC football. It's homecoming. Be a good crowd. New scoreboard. New sound system. Lots going on. Thank you for listening to episode 180 of Writer Radio.
What are you doing for lunch?
I don't know. I have a turkey sandwich.
We're gonna go around the corner. I think you should come with us. This is a great place.
Okay.
We brought you a shirt.
Will you get out of here? Will you get out of here? Will you? Now, will you go to lunch? Go to lunch. Will you go to lunch?